thought, well, maybe this is a misprint, and then I shouldn't foul up the show just because someone made a little error. Warren Beatty once dated over 1,000 women. He made Hollywood history with Bonnie and Clyde. He had Oscar glory and political power. But in 2022 something changed. The man who never missed a premiere suddenly vanished. When his wife was nominated for an Oscar, he wasn't there. When his daughter made her Broadway debut, he stayed home. Friends say he's still alive at 87, but he won't leave his house. The reason why will break your heart. Hollywood's greatest playboy now lives in total isolation. Warren Beatty was not born into Hollywood. He was born Henry Warren Beatty on March 30, 1937 in Richmond, Virginia. His parents weren't actors or big names in show business. His father, Ira Owens Beatty, was a high school principal who later became a professor of psychology. His mother, Kathleen Karen McLean, was a drama teacher. Even with her interest in theater, the family was quiet, middle class, and far from anything glamorous. They moved to Arlington, Virginia in the 1940s because Ira found work in education. Beatty's childhood was serious and disciplined. His parents cared most about school, reading, and learning. They expected him to do well academically. Warren spent his time reading books, playing music, and joining sports teams. But the movie world was nowhere close. Nothing was handed to him. Even his name was spelled Bay, and he later added a second tau as a tiny signal of the change he hoped to make in his life. While most people assume Beatty had connections to help him into Hollywood, it wasn't like that at all. His early years gave him none of that. Just a strong work ethic and an interest in the arts that began at home. It was a plain, quiet life that gave him grit and patience. He also had someone very close looking out for him. His sister, Shirley Mlan, was a few years older and had a bolder personality. Warren was shy and loved books and playing piano. That made him a target in school during the 1940s and 1950s when boys who weren't tough got picked on. Shirley was nothing like him in that way. She was strong, outspoken, and would jump into fights without hesitation. More than once, Shirley fought kids who bullied Warren. In her memoir, Shirley says she was always fighting his battles. Warren himself was gentle and quiet, but his sister made sure nobody messed with him too long. It gave him the freedom to stay true to himself and follow his interests. That bond between them would last forever, even when they chose different paths in show business. Shirley was proud of him, and he never forgot what she had done for him. By the time he reached high school at Washington Lee in Arlington, Beatty was also becoming a serious athlete. He was a star quarterback and even served as class president. Colleges across the country took notice. By 1955, he had been offered 10 football scholarships. That was a big deal back then. Football was a way to status and success, especially in the South. It was hard to say no to that kind of opportunity. But Warren Beatty did. Instead of chasing football fame, he chose to go to Northwestern University to study liberal arts. Many people around him couldn't understand that choice. Football could have made him a star, but Warren wasn't sure that was the life he wanted. He felt pulled to the arts. Maybe it was his mother's background or his own love for stories and acting. Even though his coaches and friends thought he was crazy to give up sports, Beatty decided to take the harder path, going against what most people expected would become one of his defining traits. After just 1 year at Northwestern, he took an even bigger risk. Beatty dropped out and moved to New York City to chase acting. Back then, leaving college after 1 year was a big gamble. He had no famous parents, no money, and only his drive. That choice scared people around him, but he felt sure that staying in school would never give him what he really wanted. He studied with the legendary acting teacher Stella Adler, working to become a real performer. To pay for his lessons, he did whatever jobs he could. He scrubbed dishes in diners and worked as a laborer on construction sites. Sometimes he played the piano in small clubs just to make ends meet. Those years were hard. Beatty has talked about the struggle, the tiny apartments, the long hours. Many people would have quit, but he kept going. That hardship shaped him. It showed him that nothing would come easy, and it made him appreciate every role that came his way. By 1961, all that work paid off. He was picked to star alongside Natalie Wood in Splendor. In the Grass. Warren was only 24 years old. The film tackled bold topics like mental illness and desire. Beatty's role as Bud Stamper felt real and raw, and audiences and critics noticed. The movie was a hit, making $4 million at the box office. Beatty even earned a Golden Globe as New Star of the Year. That debut changed everything. Director Elia Kazan had picked him because he saw a fire in Beatty, someone who wasn't playing a part but living it. Beatty and Wood had real chemistry on screen and even offset. Rumors spread that they had an affair despite her being married. Passion like that would follow Beatty into most of his future projects. Beatty quickly gained a reputation as someone who mixed life and art. After Splendor, In the Grass, his relationships with co-stars became famous in their own right. Stories about his affairs would follow him for years. Some of these romances ended badly. Natalie Wood even attempted suicide after their split. Others, like his long romance with Julie Christie, became part of his legend. Yet, Beatty was also learning that fame and talent weren't enough. After his big breakthrough, he struggled with several movies that flopped. Films like The Roman Spring of Mrs. Stone and Mickey 1 failed to draw crowds. Beatty was getting called difficult, and some thought his career might fizzle before it really began. That rough period changed him. Beatty decided he wouldn't just take whatever roles came along. Instead, he would take control. In 1967, at only 28, he decided to produce his own movie, Bonnie and Clyde. This was almost unheard of for an actor. Back then, studios didn't like actors stepping into producing. Even Warner Brothers thought the movie would fail. But Beatty bet on himself. He fought for the script. He chose the cast, including Gene Hackman and Faye Dunaway, and he even took a small salary up front, agreeing to take a cut of the profits. Instead, that was a huge risk. If the movie failed, he'd earn almost nothing. But Beatty was Allen. When Bonnie and Clyde hit theaters in August 1967, changed everything. It was more than just a hit movie. The film felt like an explosion. Its graphic violence, sexual tension, and rebellious spirit were nothing like what American audiences had seen before. The final shootout was like a ballet of bullets, inspired by French New Wave directors like Goddard and Truffaut. It was so shocking that the motion picture